process of progress.
Yes.
And in some ways we think we've come so far with that technology, and in fact all these things have just cluttered and added to the noise, and the ability for these lawmakers to actually make laws has been hindered.
You know, and by the way, folks, it's all alleged to be Warren Buffett's saying.
Well, these are of course radical ideas, but I think they capture the essence of the angst that's in this country for why we are stuck where we are.
Yes.
You know, folks, sometimes the more things change, the more they stay the same. And sometimes they go back to the way they used to be. This is a great story out of the New York Times about what Walgreens is doing to its pharmacies. You know, so often you go into a Walgreens or CVS, any of these stores, and that pharmacist is behind this really tall counter. All you ever see is their head. And you speak to them for 20 seconds, and they're always on the phone with the insurance company, and you really don't interact with them hardly. Well, Walgreens is changing this because they realize that in order to earn and keep customers' business, they need to create more of a personal relationship between the customer and the pharmacist. So they're changing their stores. They're getting rid of those really tall counters. They're making sure that those pharmacists are not always on the phone, so you can actually engage with them and talk with them. And this is a part of the story that I really liked. The person who is really bringing about this change, who's instrumental in this, is the Executive Director of Pharmacy and Healthcare Experience at Walgreens. His name is Ramesh.
Oh, okay.
He's an Indian American. So he's trying to instill this culture within this very giant conglomerate to say, look, we need to care more. We're in the field of medicine and healthcare, and if we're just behind a counter and not engaging with the customer, we're not doing our jobs.
Actually, the prices of the medicines have gone sky high. But at the same time, I had a very nice experience at CVS. I went in there, and they said, can we give you a flu shot? And I said, okay. After I got it, I said, how much do I owe you? He said, nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Well,
I did not pay anything in CVS for a flu shot.
The flu shots are really a phenomenon. You know, it used to be you had to make a doctor's appointment, then you had to go pay a copay just to get a flu shot. Now these minute clinics have appeared, and they have completely taken that business away from these doctors' offices, and these doctors' offices are saying, wait a minute, half my business is drying up because these, you know, very small, minor incidents where people had to make appointments and I would make my money, they're all going to these minute clinics.
That's right.
And Walgreens, of course, is learning that lesson too. And last year, it sold its pharmacy benefit management company for more than $500 million to a Maryland firm that would help the company focus on becoming the consumer's most convenient choice for health and daily living needs. So they're really filling a niche that has opened up because these doctors' offices and these hospitals are so crowded and packed and you can't get an appointment.
That's very true. And of course, you remember, President Obama's bill is going to bring another 49 million patients into the system. So
I don't think it's a bad idea. You know, India has had corner pharmacies for decades, and in fact, people are used to going straight to the pharmacist and asking for medication. In some ways, you could say, well, you really need a doctor in the middle, but sometimes the pharmacist is the doctor in the middle, and they do a reasonable job as long as we're talking about minor kinds of colds and flus. Why not? I think it's the right thing to do. And on the same topic, you're finding changes in India about what India is doing to address its healthcare issues. You know, India suffers from its own characteristic issues, things like infrastructure being poor, which means oftentimes patients can't get to the clinics, can't get to see the doctors, and that's a significant problem. Another problem, the power grid in India has just never been very reliable. So how do you run these very expensive machinery that require all kinds of power? And then what do you do with all the medical waste? You know, we generate medical waste here, it gets picked up, we never think about it twice. In India, you don't have places where you can just dump medical waste when it's when you're done with it. So products in India really have to be designed differently. You can't just take Western concepts and adapt them to the East and expect them all to work. Well, this is actually causing many healthcare firms to look at everything very differently. At the forefront of such efforts are small companies like Ria Metrics in the Indian city of Bangalore, which is rolling out a lab-in-a-box concept.
Yeah.
It promises to bring diagnostic testing for a variety of ailments, HIV, malaria, diabetes, arthritis, cheaply and quickly right to the patient. In other words, they're not waiting for the patient to come. They're going straight to the patient. Not only that, because you can't rely on things like air conditioning, In hospitals, these new medical devices have to be really ruggedized and built for a rough environment where there's a lot of dust and particles. And so that's exactly what these companies are doing. They're redesigning these medical devices to operate
hospitals on the wheels.
Hospitals on the wheels. And this was my favorite part. You know, Western-made products rely on costly disposable systems thrown away after whatever procedure is performed. But that model is way too expensive for India. So in India, what they're doing is they're learning how to reuse and sterilizing these products so that they can recycle them. And I kept thinking, you know, if we can do those kinds of innovations in India, why can't we bring some of them back over here
and try to
make things more efficient?
Yeah, it's being done over here too. You know, I want to tell you, all these technologies are actually available here, but it's not possible to sort of implement them here, but back in China or back in India, where it doesn't require too many people to approve it.
That's what I mean.
It just goes ahead.
Because there's no big lobby system back in these countries that derails progress. Here, those same innovative ideas often have a longer flight path.
I want to move away to another topic. You know, folks, the housing industry is our worst nightmare at present. Houses are just not moving. So, Warren Buffett again came out with the idea. He says, in fact, if you want to move these houses, it's very simple. Send the word out to the entire world that we have housing here. If you buy anything over $500,000, or if you bring in a couple $1 million, we give you a visa. He said, in no time at all, you're going to have 500,000 people with mega dollars to come in this town and actually live with a green card and ultimately become citizens. Fantastic way to do it. So Charles Schumer, the senator, and Mike Lee, the Republican senator, both of them got together. They came out with a bill, which everybody hopes it get passed. Basically, simple bill. You buy a house, $500,000 and more, you can live here. Or you can buy $250,000 house and $250,000 investment residential property. You get a visa. You can live here. You can bring your children, younger children. They can go to school. They can go to college. You do not get a green card. For a green card, you still have to make sure you follow the rules that are in this country. So it's a good way of getting it, but I thought I like Warren Buffett's idea much better. How about you?
I don't know. I mean, I'm torn because at the same time, you see what's happening with our immigration debate. I mean, if you're watching these presidential debates, candidate debates, then you know how much of a hot button topic this is. You know, people are debating whether or not we should hand out citizenship when a baby is born here on U.S. soil.
Yes.
Right? And here you're talking about giving a pathway for citizenship, at least a